Hey everyone, welcome to Princess of Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with episode 2 of Link Click. And this is a series I have been waiting to get back to ever since I first recorded the first impressions to it. This probably has one of the best opening episodes I've ever seen in anything. And I stand by how impressed I was by it. Since I initially did the first reaction, I also had done I had watched a couple other people's reactions, and everybody is impressed by this, from what I've seen. It seems to be pretty popular amongst the few people who know about it, because it's still a pretty lesser known series. And that might have to do with the fact that it's a donghua rather than an anime. With it being Chinese, a lot of people just might not know about it. And that sucks because it is really fucking good. Like, it made me cry in the first episode, and not too many shows can brag about that. Carol and Tuesday definitely did. And in the that's the thing, it's in the first episode. I don't know about many other shows, at least off the top of my head, that have done that have made me cry in episode 1. It takes a lot, but this series has done it. And it's just like, if you really want to be technical, we didn't spend any time with that girl until the very end. Everything we had learned and known about her was from these memories, was from our main characters delving into her mind and everything. She was, everything we seen in the episode with her was, her being controlled. I hate to word it like that because it makes it sound nefarious, and this is very much not the case here. Exactly. At least they're very much not trying for it to be. We could see from the first episode that our two main characters, whose names I'm still trying to get down, it's like at certain points I can remember them, at certain points I can't. Right now I can't. But they're trying to respect these people and, not ruin their lives and shit. Unfortunately, messing things up by changing things can do so. As we saw in the first episode, when their actions accidentally led, specifically the black-haired guy's actions, accidentally led to this girl being kidnapped and murdered. And again, although we barely spent any time with her, through the memories and everything, through the link itself, we got to know about her. And even though she wasn't technically there for any of it, it still somehow formed a connection. To where at the end, when she does want to reconnect with her family, where she does end up dying, it hurts really bad. And this was just the first episode we're talking about here. We've got an entire rest of the season and a second season coming sometime this year. So, it's going to get more intense. Like, this was just the tip of the iceberg. It's going to get a lot more emotional, and I'm going to cry, and yeah, it's going to be hard. Because I make no secret of this. If you're new to the channel, you might not know, but I make no secret of the fact that I am extremely emotional. I cry pretty easily, all things considered. If something is like really sad or even really exciting or happy, or just emotional in general. Like if it gives me a strong emotional pull, then it can make me cry. And I I think part of it is like the fact that I get connected to characters really easily, whether I form a personal connection with them or not. It's like I get connected to them and I feel for them, and it's like, ah, it makes me extremely emotional when anything happens to them, good or bad. So I don't hide the fact that I cry. I've cried plenty on camera. I have absolutely just straight up broken the fuck down on camera. And I'm not ashamed of that. In fact, I'd be more ashamed if I didn't break down at the things that I did. Because although I admit that I have a very easy trigger for getting emotional, I don't dislike that. I actually think that more people should be openly emotional. Like they should open themselves up to being so, because it's real. Trying to hide in and ignore your emotions is not healthy by any means. No matter whether you're a guy, a girl, an NB, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to be able to express yourself. Holding it back is just, it's not going to lead into good places. So I try to do that. I try to, like, actively let my emotions loose. And so I tend to cry a lot. So be prepared for that if you're watching. If you're watching these reactions, because if this season is going to go like the first episode went, I will be crying. So from what I've gathered with the first episode, our main characters somehow have this ability. I don't know if they're the only people who have this ability, but they have this ability to link into people's lives and click back into the future. Or into the past, rather. To where they can basically pilot their lives and to find out information and stuff, which is what they did in the first episode. They were hired to find these specific bits of information, and once they did, it basically caused the company that this girl was working at to be taken down. And it seems like our main characters are good, so I doubt they're going to like willingly do anything like bad for their jobs. So I assume this was all to take down a corrupt organization, which we kind of saw a little bit of. But a lot of what we saw was also just the girl's boss being an absolute creepazoid. So there's that. And cheating on his wife with multiple women. But it's kind of implied that there was some shifty, shady shit going on as well. And so I'm wondering if all of these jobs are going to be like that, or if there's going to be a little more to this. I just genuinely don't know. My biggest hope for this series continuing forward is that it doesn't shy away from things. Because the first episode actually got pretty intense. Like, it was showing some pretty heavy topics. Whether it's the strained family situation the girl was in, or the fact that her boss was, trying to get with her or even, her murder at the end. It touched on these topics, which are pretty heavy, in a very respectful way. It made sure to note how terrible things were, but not to over exaggerate's the wrong word. Not to overblow it all, to keep it real and raw. They wanted to make it feel frighteningly realistic. Outside of, the entire, basically what amounts to time travel shit. you know what I mean, though. It's just, I think this is going to be a special series. If the first episode is to go by, I think that this series is going to really impress me, and I hope it does. I hope I'm correct about that. Because I compared this to Carol and Tuesday with its first episode quality and everything, being one of the only first episodes of anything to ever make me cry. And Carol and Tuesday is my second favorite series of all time after One Piece. So, I think that's a pretty big thing to live up to. But at the same time, I can fully see Link Click getting to be that good for me. But we'll see. We're just going to get this started, though, and hope for the best. See what this second episode has in store for us. I assume these are mostly going to be episodic, but we'll see for sure. There might be some ongoing storylines and all. So, for the meantime, let's get this going. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow a link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after fades black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So let me check something here. Because I want to try to get these names right. Because I'm not the best at memorizing a lot of names in the first place, but especially when they're foreign names. Just being completely serious and genuine here, it's harder for me. Because it's not my native language. The way the language works is very different than what I'm used to. I try my best. But yeah. Okay, so. Let's see here. So, this is a very different episode in a lot of ways. First off, unlike in the first episode, they're not taking this mission from the client in order to expose some kind of fraud or anything, or to, do this big, grand thing. No. It's much more simple. Yu Shua, the brunette, she goes to them for help because she wants to find the secret recipe of the noodles that her partner Lin Shen had. What's the secret recipe so that she can emulate it? And we see throughout the episode that Lu Guang and Cheng Xiaoxi, our main characters, have to go through all these different photos to try and figure out what they can about that. And Xiaoxi clearly can tell that whatever that mysterious powder was has something to do with it. But Lu Guang doesn't see enough evidence to pursue it. And there's just not really enough to, you know, go on for them to even bring that out. But as we go along, we start to see another story unfold. We get to learn about Yu Shua and Lin Zhen. We see that these two were best friends, and let's be honest, there's hints at something more. Even if it didn't actually, like, go into that, even if it didn't actually, confirm it, there very much were hints of romantic feelings for each other. But we see that they opened this noodle shop together, and they were very, very close. They both wanted to succeed. They were both trying their best to, you know, make it their best. But eventually, Yu Sha started to change, and she hired them because she thought that Lin Zhen changed, but in reality, it was her. She started to become more, like, entirely focused on the business, more focused on the success, rather than, you know, everything that they started it all for. And Lin Zhen became apathetic towards it all. This is not her business anymore. This is not her noodle shop. Yu Sha lost what this was all about. She got swept up in the popularity. She got swept up in the business, in the money, all of that. And to the point where all she wanted in the end was this secret recipe. She wanted to be able to emulate her partner Lin Zhen's noodles that made them so popular in the first place. And that's all she was thinking about. But it's eventually revealed through a final photo that our main characters didn't even know was there at first, that this all started when they were, like, teenagers. And that it was always these ground up flowers, these fragrant flowers from Yu Sha's hometown. And she's the one who actually introduced it to Lin Zhen when they were kids. And so realizing that's the truth of it in the current day after, you know, being told, she breaks down. She realizes that she's the one who changed, that she's the one who messed up. And so she goes to the country where Lin Zhen had started her own noodle shop, being run in the way she wanted. And they reconcile. And it ends with that. It ends happy, unlike the first one, which they do reference in this one. Like, we do have that continuity still. The failure in the first one, the fact that that Emma was killed, was murdered, because of Xiaoxi's interference in trying to help her, which is also really fucking terrible that he was just trying to help her and she got murdered because of it. It's like, that's still hanging over Lu Guang's head. He hasn't told Xiaoxi about that clearly, and you could tell it's bothering him that happened. Like, he hides it. He tries to keep calm and tries to. It seems like he's trying in general to bottle in his emotions a little. And I don't know if he is just doing it just to protect Xiaoxi, because he tends to be a little more um, emotional as a person, or if he's doing it for his own sake as well. But I have a feeling this is going to have to get out at some point. That is going to have to like be revealed. Xiaoxi, I think, is going to have to find out about it, whether being told or finding out on his own and realizing that had been kept from him. So that's going to be fun when that happens. But I like that this episode was overall happy in the end. That it was positive. And unlike with the first episode, we had a good ending to this. Just two friends who grew apart because one friend changed and lost her way, but eventually came back together because their bond was too strong to break. It's a beautiful story. Yeah, it made me cry. It made me cry for sure. I would have cried a lot harder if it had ended poorly. But I'm very glad it didn't. Because I was like, again, just like with the first episode with Emma, I grew attached to these characters really quickly. And that is probably the biggest strength of this series. Definitely based on these first two episodes at least. The biggest strength is how it can make you care about these characters in such a small amount of time, with such, honestly, a small amount of info. I think it's the way it's set up and the way it's paced and everything. It allows you to sympathize with and care about these characters without needing to have a lot of information. It allows you to get it pretty quickly and easily. You understand the emotions, you understand the ideas, you feel for them because it makes them feel real. The writing, the pacing, all of it is really good in that regard. And the voice acting, of course. Honestly, literally the only issue I have with this series so far is the subtitles being so bad. Not in terms of, like, the translations, although there's some weird language issue translations there, some grammar issues and all. But it's more along the lines of the actual subtitles themselves. They're small, and the font and coloration of them makes them really hard to see at some points, based on what's behind them. I'm going to search out before we get to episode 3. I'm going to search out to see if there's anywhere with better subtitles. But again, based on the other reactions I have seen, like, everyone was using the ones with these subtitles, so maybe not. Maybe this is all there really is. We'll see. If it is all there is, then there's nothing we can do about it, but hopefully there is another option. We'll see. In the meantime, though, tell me what you thought of this episode. A link click down in the comments below. And for now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.